Welcome to the 3 O'Clock Coffee Podcast, a place where extraordinary people network together to share meaningful stories that inspire others. Do you have a great story you would like to share with the world? If so, go to 3o'clockcoffee.com and sign up today to be on our show. Thanks for listening. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and tell a friend about the 3 O'Clock Coffee Podcast.
Hello, my name is Scott Proposky. I'm the host of the 3 O'Clock Coffee Podcast. If you're wondering, well, where did I come up with this idea? Extraordinary people, 3 O'Clock Coffee. Well, actually, it goes back many years, 10, maybe 11 years ago. About that time, I was with my good friend Bobby. Bobby and I shared an office together. Well, Bobby and I would talk a lot in the office. We wouldn't get anything done. I mean, we were two chatties all day long in the office, just talking back and forth. And one day Bob said, hey, Scott, let's just stop at 3 o'clock and we'll just have coffee and we'll kind of talk about your business and my business and what happened during that time and strategies and great conversations. It was great. Every 3 o'clock we would stop. Most times you didn't even need to look at the clock. We knew it was 3 o'clock. We'd stop and make our own coffee in our little cafe at our office place. Well, unfortunately, my buddy Bob passed away of pancreatic cancer, and it was quite devastating for a lot of people, including myself. I spent more time with Bobby and probably his family when you work together. And all of a sudden, I was going back to the office, and Bobby wasn't there. And I didn't really like talking to myself at 3 o'clock, having coffee in the office. So I started reaching out on social media. I just post random posts and say, hey, it's 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, I have coffee, and whoever wants to meet me at Starbucks or the local cafe or wherever they be, wherever I was. And people would show up. And I would meet people from, I met some homeless person that met me that heard about my 3 o'clock coffee time. And I met some addicts that heard about the podcast and had just incredible conversations with these people and what they've gone through. And then I kind of worked a way around and wanted to talk to extraordinary CEOs of big companies. And what I found was when I would call them and just ask them if they would like to meet with coffee, I just want to have a conversation with you. 10 out of 10 said yes. I live in Boston. Sometimes I would fly to San Francisco to meet a prominent CEO. And sure enough, he or she would meet with me, no business, and we would just have a great conversation. Then after that, with so many people, it actually improved my business. There was no agenda. I didn't sell anything, but just because I was in the neighborhood of the right people that could help me, people that I could help them. And time went by. This was all happening for the past 10, 12 years. And then the pandemic hit. And somebody mentioned that, Scott, now it's a time to turn this into a podcast, the 3 O'Clock Coffee Podcast. Well, I tried it and had so many stuff going on. I was overwhelmed. And I did a beta test on the 3 O'Clock Coffee Podcast. And I realized that I was getting more views and more people wanted to hear about extraordinary people. And we just had 4 or 5 episodes on. And here we are as the time I'm recording this in November of 2022. And I am dedicated to bringing back the 3 O'Clock Coffee Podcast and bringing it to online for everybody else to share. These same conversations that I had with extraordinary people all around the country, I'm going to do the same thing and have this podcast. We're going to launch every Wednesday at 3 p.m. for the next year. I'm committed. We have a team of people to make this happen. I'm looking forward to 1 year from today and looking back at all the extraordinary people that we together will meet. And I guarantee you, they will inspire you. And there'll be stories that you'll probably never forget. Like Don Miller says, the story brand. If you could tell a great story, most people will remember it. Sometimes that's the selling point, a great story. And that's how I wrote my books. I have a few books out, and it was always about the story. And this week, I'm actually talking to Don Miller. Maybe one day we'll have him on the podcast and many others. So stay tuned, tune in, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend. The 3 O'Clock Coffee Podcast is back. We have so many interesting people. We have I'm trying to get the guy that did the Ginsu knife. Remember that commercial? If you remember, oh my God, we have him coming in. We have Benjamin Hardy, Dr. Benjamin Hardy. He is one of the New York Times best-selling authors. He's a good friend of mine. We have Dean Jackson, one of the best marketing guys you've ever met. I talked to him the other day. He's going to be on the show, and so many other people. So subscribe to the show. My name is Scott Proposky, and I am looking forward to spending the next year with you, or longer for that matter. So thanks a lot. Welcome to the 3 O'Clock Coffee Podcast.